Most people spend their lives trying to earn more money. They work longer hours and seek promotions, but billionaires do not enrich themselves this way. They become wealthy when they understand something that almost no one else notices. In this video, we will reveal exactly what that turning point is, and most importantly, how you can apply the same logic, even if you're just starting out with little capital. All of this is based on the real and proven strategies of Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos. Just before we start, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel to help me improve the videos on the channel. Starting with Warren Buffett, who began investing at the age of 11. At that time, like many beginner investors, he believed that the secret lay in understanding charts and predicting market movements. His strategy was based on short-term analysis. This logic changed radically at the age of 19 when he read a book titled The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. For the first time, Buffett understood that investing is not about buying stocks, it is about buying businesses. Each share represents a fraction of a real company, with employees, products, profits, and a future. He stopped looking at prices and started looking at value. That was the turning point. Not in the charts, but in the mind. With Jeff Bezos, the inflection point was different. He had a secure and promising position at an investment bank in New York. When he had the idea of selling books online, he presented the plan to his boss. The response was, "Good idea for someone who doesn't have a good job." That made him think. Bezos realized that at the age of 80, what would haunt him would not be failure, but the regret of never having tried. He traded stability for uncertainty, not out of impulsiveness, but out of clarity. Both Buffett and Bezos changed the game when they changed their mindset. It was not a new technique, it was a new way of seeing the world. And this perspective redefined everything that came after. Now think, is the way you see money today limiting your growth? Are you still trying to predict the next move when you should be trying to understand the entire game? The answer begins when you understand how billionaires really think. And the way they view money, time, and assets is simpler than you might imagine. What separates the mindset of billionaires from the rest of the world is the way they interpret the game of money. While most still see stocks as codes on a screen that rise and fall, investors like Buffett see what lies behind these codes: real companies. Buffett does not buy stocks expecting them to rise the following month. He purchases them with the same criteria he would apply to acquiring a corner bakery or a factory in the countryside. He asks himself, will this company still be standing in 20 years? Does it have solid management? Does it generate consistent profits? The daily price fluctuation becomes irrelevant when the focus is on enduring value. What matters is mental discipline, patience, and emotional resilience, not technical brilliance. Jeff Bezos, on the other hand, has a favorite mantra he learned from the military. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Instead of speed, he values consistency. Amazon took years to turn a profit, but built a solid foundation, calibrated with precision and persistence. For him, real progress is the result of well thought out decisions, repeated with consistency, not of quick impulses. This type of thinking may seem distant to those just starting out, but in practice it is more accessible than it appears. You do not need millions to think like an owner. You just need to change your approach. Instead of seeking the next hot opportunity, look for assets you understand. Study companies. Think like a partner and ignore the short-term noise. When analyzing an investment, ask yourself, if I could not sell this for the next 10 years, would I still buy it? This question alone eliminates 90% of the market traps. And the most interesting part, this philosophy not only preserves capital, but also creates leverage, because your time works for you and the results begin to multiply without additional effort. But how exactly do billionaires build this leverage? What do they do to multiply value without multiplying effort? This is the point where the game starts to accelerate. All billionaires who've succeeded in multiplying their fortunes sustainably have built wealth through appreciating assets that work for them even while they sleep. This is the true secret of rational leverage. Warren Buffett, for instance, has always viewed market downturns as a blessing, not as a problem. When the price of a good company falls, he buys more. He reinvests the dividends he receives and increases his stake in the businesses. It is an anti-fragile mindset. He strengthens himself during crises. Jeff Bezos took a different path, but based on the same principle. Instead of dividends, he built systems. Amazon is not just an online store. It is a platform that enables thousands of other businesses to operate and grow. The true genius lies in creating something that generates value for others at scale, without requiring additional effort each time. This logic may seem distant from your reality, but the essence is applicable on any scale. A rental property that generates monthly income without your physical presence. A portfolio of stocks that pays consistent dividends. All are examples of leverageable assets. What matters is that they continue to work, regardless of your daily effort. This is rational leverage, using the same time and capital to generate greater results over the years. It is not about taking extreme risks, but about structuring growth on solid foundations. If you currently depend 100% on your active income, you are limited by the hours in the day. But if you start to build a base of productive assets, even if small, you pave the way for a future where your capital works more than you do. And the curious thing? This is precisely the next step that billionaires master, staying disciplined when everyone around them loses focus. Many believe that gaining wealth requires genius, but this is a dangerous illusion. Warren Buffett has stated, 120 IQ is sufficient, more than that can be a hindrance. Sustainable wealth does not depend on genius, but rather on emotional discipline and clarity of purpose. Jeff Bezos complements this view with an essential distinction. You should not take pride in your gifts, you should take pride in your choices. Being good at mathematics, having charisma, or possessing verbal intelligence are gifts. They are not achievements. The true difference between those who accumulate wealth consistently and those who remain stuck at the same level for decades lies in repeatedly making coherent decisions, especially when no one is watching. This means that predicting the future is not the objective. Billionaires do not guess the next market move. They create simple plans based on logic and execute them regularly. They do not try to reinvent the wheel with each new economic cycle. Think about it. How many people do you know who know what they should do with their money, but simply do not do it? The problem is almost never technical. It is behavioral. And this is where billionaires win. Not because they are smarter, but because they stick to the plan even when it is difficult or boring. And here is the most important point. The simpler the plan, the greater the chances of you staying the course. And this leads us to a principle that many overlook. Most people believe that to invest well, it is necessary to master a series of complex strategies, understand dozens of sectors, and monitor the market every day. However, the great investors think differently. Warren Buffett often recommends that the average investor place their money in a simple index fund that replicates the S&P 500, without trying to predict the market, without selecting individual stocks, just trusting in the resilience of the economy over the decades. Jeff Bezos also started with a simple idea: selling books. He did not attempt to dominate several markets at once. He chose a single niche with great growth potential and applied logic, data, and consistency. Only after mastering this space did he expand into other sectors. The most interesting thing is that well-applied simplicity requires courage. It is tempting to complicate matters, but those who follow a simple plan with discipline tend to go further than those who constantly jump from one strategy to another. Simplicity, when well applied, can be your greatest advantage, for even the simple when scaled becomes complex, but the complex when scaled becomes impossible. And this is where one of the most powerful and underestimated allies in building wealth comes into play. Warren Buffett accumulated most of his fortune after the age of 50. It was not because he discovered a new type of miraculous investment, nor was it because he radically changed his strategy. It was simply because he allowed time for the compound effect to do its work. The longer capital remains consistently invested, the faster it grows. And it grows exponentially. Jeff Bezos followed the same principle. For years, Amazon operated at a loss. Many analysts criticized him, saying that the model was not sustainable. But Bezos was building an infrastructure, a system that, once set up, would generate profits for decades. He knew that the return would come, not in 6 months, but in 10 or 20 years. And here is a direct question. What are you doing today that your future self will thank you for? Because most people underestimate what they can build in 10 years, and overestimate what they can achieve in 10 months. But perhaps the biggest mistake is thinking that only those who have much can apply these ideas, when in fact, starting small is exactly what the great names did. Warren Buffett took his first steps with just $100. Jeff Bezos started Amazon driving an old car with a borrowed laptop and stacking boxes on the office floor. Neither of them waited to be ready. They began with what they had, but with the right mindset. A long-term vision, consistency, and an absolute focus on building value. You do not need much to start. You need direction. Choose an asset, invest regularly, learn from every market movement. Repetition builds clarity, and clarity paves the way for results that may seem distant today. But the most curious thing is that even with all these tools, many still do not act. If this video made you rethink what truly builds wealth, subscribe and share with someone who is still trapped in the logic of effort without leverage. Billionaires did not start with billions. They began with clarity, the right assets, and time on their side. Do the same. Your future starts now. See you in the next video.